everyone, to another episode of Get to Know Her. We are live here in beautiful Burlington, Ontario, where it snowed yesterday, and live, of course, from the Glam Jewels studio. I am so happy to have you here. I have a special treat for you today. We're actually going to be escaping to Quebec City together. Are you excited? Before I introduce our most amazing guest, I want to highlight some of the items I have on for my outfit today. First of all, this gorgeous white blouse from our friend Brenda Bedome, who we love so much. And the little buttons are so pretty. They're kind of like a mother of pearl. I love, love, love this blouse. And who doesn't need a white classic blouse? If you go onto Brenda's website, brendabedome.com, 2 D's in Bedome. Make sure you use the coupon code Get to Know Her because she's giving us 22% off of our order, which is amazing. And of course, I have coordinated the blouse with these lovely jewels from yours truly, Glam Jewels, a nice little bracelet, earrings, and then I have on our very special secret garden necklace, which many of you have purchased, and these are $45, and proceeds are going to the art house here in the Halton area. And what they do is they provide art programs for kids who can't afford it. And we are funding a very special project. It's their canoe project. So the money that we raise from these necklaces, we're going to be buying art supplies to paint a canoe with the kids. And your name will go on a canoe when you make a purchase, or you can even, let us know if you want your mom's name on it, whatever whose ever name means something to you. We will put their name on the canoe with the kids. I'm going to be personally painting with the children, which I'm so excited about. And then we're also going to buy native plants to plant inside the canoe to help support biodiversity in the community. So you'll definitely want to hop on that bandwagon. You can go to glamjewels.com and you'll see the banner for this necklace on our page. So are you guys ready for a trip to Quebec? Please join me in welcoming our most amazing guest today, Marie-Pier Vincent Dugré. When Marie was a young girl, her parents opened their store in Quartier Petit Champlain, Blanc Mouton, located in the heart of Quebec City. I know that many of you have shopped there because Marie carries Glam Jewels, and often I'll get a text message from one of you saying, guess where I am and look what I found, which is so nice. Marie has had a fascinating life, working for one of the biggest horse trainers in the world to taking up trail running and now volunteering for organizations that help the well-being of children through physical activity. Marie met her wonderful husband, Eric, in 1999, and they have 2 kids together. It was during her children's early years that Marie decided to get into her parents' business, Le Blanc Mouton. It was a step Marie-Pier was not ready to take earlier on in life, but having seen the world and knowing more about what she wanted, working as an entrepreneur seemed like a good way for her to live. Like any small business, there were challenges along the way. When COVID came along, Marie looked at the pandemic as an opportunity to take her company to the next level. Today, Marie is involved in the board of the Sorry, my French is terrible. I hope she scolds me when she comes on at the Quartier Petit Champlain's CoOp. She has been there since 2013. She became president in January 2020. Marie-Pier has been in charge of the Quartier's survival during COVID and still is today. I first met Marie when we were both exhibiting at the One of a Kind show. We became fast friends. I visited her many times there, including at her home, and I am so excited for you all to meet her today. Here she comes.
Hi,
Marie,
Monica.
I'm sorry I botched that French so bad.
That's okay. I was laughing pretty hard.
Listen, when I was in grade 9, we had a French teacher. His name was Mr. James.
Uh-huh.
And he looked like he was right out of like a World War II like documentary or something. And he had like slicked back hair and he always wore this gray pinstripe suit. And I don't think he was even French. He never spoke French. He spoke English, but he would get mad at us for not studying the French. And then he would tell us all, you're going to end up working at McDonald's. I
That's
thought
what
that
they
was
tell us if you don't learn in English.
it's so
That's the other
terrible.
way around.
Yeah, exactly. And McDonald's is a great place to work. So I don't know what he was talking about, but
Yeah, it is.
anyway, yeah. So that's my lame excuse for my bad French, but
That's fine. That's fine. You're excused. You're excused. Sorry about. Anyway, there's gonna be some like blank parts on my side too with the English. So
okay, it's all good. Listen, I'm so excited because we're like in Quebec City with you now. It's like we've traveled there, and you were telling me there's a storm happening. We just had snow yesterday. So
yeah.
is it a snowstorm or
Yeah,
what
it's the
is
same storm, but I live higher in the mountains. You know where my house is about 20 minutes from downtown, but it's up in the mountains. So yes, of course here it snows, but in Quebec City it's raining right now, so it's not too bad. But this morning, like the trees were all white, like it was Christmas this morning. I even woke up the kids singing Christmas songs. Yeah. They didn't like me very much. Honestly, I didn't like myself either.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I love where you live up there in the mountains. That was so nice when I came to visit you there. And my
Thank you.
mom and I carried on. We went swimming at a lake
In a
close by.
lake,
Fantastic. What lake was that again? That was
it's Lake Beauport.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
a little north of Quebec City. It's really like 20 minutes going downtown. So it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's beautiful
Yeah.
there. I love it. So Marie, you have to tell us, we're going to start from the beginning. What did little Marie want to be when she grew up?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but I've always been very much into animals. So my first thought was I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I know I wanted to go to be around animals. So and I love the all the ocean as well. So I didn't write it to you on my very long email, but it's part of my history anyway. I applied for marine biology in Newfoundland. It's university, but I got accepted. But by the time I was actually going, I'd figured out that it wasn't the studying, it wasn't the science behind the animals as much as being with them that I liked. So I was drawn into horses. I'd been riding for like years. I really started early on riding horses. So I carried on mostly in that path where I was closer to the animals and I could do some horse training, and that's why that's part of what I wanted to do, and I carried that on like way until like the end of my teens, like around 18, 19. I was still in the horse business.
Amazing. So you had your own horse for 25 years?
I had many horses. What I was doing is I was actually working for a trainer, so riding a lot of horses, like many horses every day. But aside from that, I also had my own, which I started like I had many of them, but always one at a time. I bought them as babies, and I trained them until I could be able to show them, sell them, buy another one, and go and so forth and so on. So that's what I was doing. Yes.
Amazing. So tell us about how did you get to North Carolina? How did that come about?
That's part of the horse. It's a very small world, and there was a trainer there who's a Quebec guy, but he'd moved there like 20 years ago, and now it's 30 years ago, and he's one of the major trainer in the States and actually in the world. And I got to know him through connections, and I moved there to be able to work as a trainer because I just finished school. So as soon as I finished my school, I moved to North Carolina with Eric. So Eric followed me there. But
Oh,
it was a very nice experience. A lot of work, like a 6 days a week, 12 hours a day kind of work.
yeah.
So it's a lot of
Amazing.
work.
How long were you there? How long did you live?
About a year, a little bit over a year.
Okay. Amazing. What part of North Carolina were you in?
Raleigh, it's about
Ra-
it's on 95. It's if you go down 95, if you go to Florida, you're gonna cross it's not Raleigh, it's about 20-30 minutes from Raleigh. It's a huge small town, like about I don't think there's like 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
But it's a very nice horse barn. Like it's very nice horse facilities. It's huge, huge, huge.
Right.
They have everything. They have boarding. They have breeding. They have. It's very nice. It's actually now my best friend's. It's his daughter that took over the company, so she's now head of the company there.
Oh, that's great.
Another power woman you could talk to.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I've been to Raleigh several times because when my mom and I would do our trips to Florida, I would stop in and see a boutique there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called CT Weekends. I don't know if it was there when you were there, but anyway, there was one time I was booked for a trunk show and they had a storm, but because they don't know how to handle the snow, we had to cancel the show. And I was teasing the guy at the hotel, and he said, "You know, we may not know what to do in a snowstorm, but if there's a hurricane, you came to the right place." And I was like, "Exactly."
It sounds just like Raleigh. Yes, it does. And we were like, a hurricane and a tornado. We had like tornado, not attack, but tornado
warnings,
alerts that came. And everybody was just going on with their lives, and me and Eric were just panicking. They're talking about tornado on the radio.
Oh my gosh, you were holding the horses down.
Yeah. No, they were just fine. We were the only one panicking.
Wow. So you had already met Eric before you went to North Carolina, or you met him there?
No. We just met before in Quebec City. I think we'd been going out like a year or two when we moved down. Yeah, he moved with me, so it was it was an adventure. But I don't like the heat, so that's what part of the. Especially when you work outside as a trainer, you need to work outside. Yeah. And I couldn't do it. Couldn't do well with the heat. People were really nice, Southern people. You know, it's they're special, but they're really, really nice people. And food wasn't good at all, and I love to eat. So, so missing the food and missing the family too. So I came back.
You came back. Oh, yes. That's great. So when you came back, how did the whole takeover from your parents happen? I guess first you started working with them. So how long had they already been in business before you stepped in?
Oh my God. It was back in, it must have been like 25, 30 years.
Okay.
Something, no, maybe not that much. Yeah, maybe more like 25, because I was around 20, 25. So around 25 or so.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about how your mom and dad got into the business and also their the whole, like, the designing of the clothing?
Yeah,
it's more than just a storefront we're talking about here. This is an empire.
Well, I don't know if it's an empire, but it's certainly a success story for them anyway. Nowadays, oh my God, that's a funny story actually. They started back in the 70s. You know, the long hair people with the white. The peace. They were really peace and love type of people.
Okay.
So my dad was engineer, like he was drawing signs, business signs and stuff like that. So he was an architect, more of a type of guy, but drawing. And he didn't do well because he was too much of an artist. So he was everywhere, like late. And anyway, he didn't do it. Didn't like his job. And my mom she was working in a hospital as a manager. So she's always been managing stuff. And so my dad quit his job and they started weaving mohair. So that's where the Blanc Mouton, like the white sheep, came from. Oh. So they were hand weaving mohair. And my mom, she kept her job until the company was built enough so that they at least afford a small revenue out of it. And so they would weave fabrics and then make ponchos and stuff like that out of it, and do the small shows, like the one of a kind, but the beginning of it, they really like it. So so that's what they would do. And then eventually the business was big enough to open a small store with some other artisans at the Quartier Petit Champlain. So they rent a small store there with some friends. And then when I was 8, they decided to leave this small store that they had and open another one just for their own. So it was a bigger store, bigger boutique, but a few doors away, where it is now, actually. And so they kind of separated, not because they didn't get along, but just because the company, like, they felt they could do more than just their own stuff, and they were starting to have some other designers as well there. So they expanded to not just their own designs, but some other people as well.
Okay, interesting. Because you carry like more than a half a dozen different designers in your
Oh yeah, we carry about, I would say, a dozen, like in
store.
between seasons, because some designers I might do summer but not do the fall collections and so forth. So I might, yeah, at least a dozen, if it's more like 15 with the jewelries and stuff. Yeah, so
Okay,
there's quite a few. Yes.
yeah, amazing. So, did your parents sort of propose to you that you work in the business, or did you sit?
No, they didn't propose.
Oh, okay. How did that happen?
Well, but when you have a business of your own, it's always in the possibilities that the kids might take over. Like, it doesn't have to be said or allowed, told aloud. Like, it's just something that's possible. So when I did raise the hand and say, okay, it could be a possibility for me. Can I try? Of course, they never say no. And I'd been involved in the company before. Like, I've been doing the shows. I was more there as a helper than anything else. But you're a kid. The company was downstairs from my house. I'm always there. I've always, like, tagged some stuff. It's you're raised there. Like, my summertime, I would spend it at the store in the Quartier Petit Champlain, and that's where I grew up. It's my house. So when I raised the hand and say, okay, could be a possibility for me, of course they didn't say no. And it was sort of a good timing as well, because we had somebody there that was working with my parents, who was doing all this, helping a whole lot. And she quit that job just when I came in. I don't know if it's, Chantal?
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
Chantal. Yeah.
Yeah, Chantal. So she sort of, like, because at that time I was doing the show, but I wasn't really in the business. But she was doing, like, a lot of the work that I could have done. And she decided to quit that year, not because it was too far from her house anyway. The commute was too long. And so it was sort of natural for me when there was a huge spot that opened when she left. So I just took that spot, sort of ish. And then we just went on to different tasks and just getting me involved a small part of the time, and small bit at a time. And then I can now do everything by myself. And that was, they quit about 10 years ago. So.
Right. Amazing. I still remember when I came to do the trunk show, and I brought my lunch with me, and you said, "Oh, I have a perfect spot for you to take your lunch break." And you opened a window, and I climbed out the window onto a tiny balcony. I'll never forget that. It was so beautiful. And
Yeah.
looking at all the buildings and the Chateau Frontenac right there. And
Now it's a nice view from the store. We actually did some renovation at the store, and we opened that window. It was something like, it was we like in 2020, in January 2020, we closed the shop. If I'd known, we closed the shop for a month, and then we did the renovation, and then, like, 3 weeks later, we closed for 2 more months. Anyway, yeah, yeah, it was like, oh no.
oh,
So when we did the renovations at the store in 2020, it was one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to put this window to be seen, because it was hiding. I don't know if you remember, but it was hiding behind some back store. It was actually a back store. The access to it. Now it's open, so it's just by the fitting rooms. People can look outside that window when they wait for the people to try on.
oh, that's beautiful. What a great idea. I have to come back and check it out.
Yes, it's brand new. It's actually very nice. Yes.
Oh, that's great. It must feel so amazing to go to work. I know you've been doing it for years and you've grown up there, but I mean, this is the oldest district in Canada,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
since 1608.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
there.
it's It's a place that it's really special, first of all, because I grew up there, but I never take it for granted. And it helps also to see it from other people's eyes as well, because when you work with the clients,
Mhm.
you always work with people that are not from Quebec, so they're not used to what we are used to see every day, and they keep telling you that it's one of the nicest place they've ever seen, and we hear that like many times, so you never kind of forget that Quebec City is a special place. And this part of town is really unique, and yeah, it's a privilege, and I'm very proud to be working for. It's actually one of the reasons too that I'm involved in the co-op as well.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about the co-op, and also I wanted you to explain how the shop owners work there, because we were talking about it a little bit on the break. I had asked you if your parents owned the building, or if you know what that was, and you said that it was part of the co-op. So I've actually never heard of that kind of a business model before. Can you explain how that works, Marie?
Yeah, it was started actually in the 80s, in the early 80s, when my parents came into the Quartier Petit Champlain. It was owned by a man, and I'm really bad with names, so there's a really nice video online if you want to look it up. It's the whole history of the Quartier is really well explained, but it was owned by, I think it was three men, and they wanted to sell it. They want, like, most of the buildings were owned by these three people, and they were rumors of selling it. So my parents were sort of not too excited about not knowing who was going to buy and what vision they had of the Quartier Champlain and everything. So they had the idea that them, and along with some other artisans that were already in the street in the Quartier, they could buy most of the buildings, and actually the more they could. They didn't buy it all at first, but they could at least buy the buildings they were occupying, and then work it as a co-op. So they turn it into a co-op. So they use their own money and some of the banks as well. They got some fundings in a way. They work really hard to start this thing, to make sure the idea behind this was making sure that they kept the vision of what they were seeing for the Quartier Petit Champlain, that they kept it there. They didn't want any McDonald's to come in. Not that I have anything against McDonald's, but I mean, like, we don't want any big commercial name there. We try to have small stores, and even today it's still the mentality that goes with it. So when there's a building, not a building, but a store that gets emptied, or it's the person there is leaving, we try to fill it with another artisan or a small company, or something that's very local and not too commercial. So that's what keeps the Quartier Petit Champlain as it is right now, a very unique place, and a place where you can have many type of stores as well. We try to have not too many clothes, not too many jewelry, not too many. We try to keep to balance everything out, so that the experience in the Quartier Petit Champlain is fulfilling for the clients and unique as well. So, but that's it. So that's it. The co-op owns now about 70%, 75% of all the buildings that's there. The
Okay.
only ones we don't own, we try to take care of our stuff, but the rest, they're just not for sale. So, but when they do sell, we try to buy them, and then we renovate them, and then we take care of them just like the rest of the buildings in the Quartier Petit Champlain. So we own the buildings, and we are a board of people. We're about 8 or 9 that take care of all the decisions that needs to be taken, and we have people in the office. We have a general director, and he's got a marketing. There's an office for the Quartier Petit Champlain who works for us just to make sure that everything works in place, and then it's a big thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I wanted to ask you, are you like working alongside, is there a historical society that you work with as well, where you're like preserving the buildings as they were, that,
Oh, there's a certain type. Yeah, you
yeah,
can't do anything without going through a process
yeah.
but it's not ours. It's mostly it's the city. It's Quartier, it's the Quebec City. They have their own set of rules, and there's also always people coming in. If you just want to change the color of the building, yeah, it's a huge.
It's a big
Oh
process. Yeah.
yeah, it's a big process.
Wow. Okay, so you've been involved with the co-op for several years, and then in January, was it in January of 2020, you became
Yeah,
president? Congratulations.
thank you.
You've basically kept things going during the pandemic, not only for your own business, but for everyone else. So
Mhm.
tell us about that.
Yeah, it was. I'd been vice president for about a year, so I was pretty close to the president. So I knew what was going on pretty much. So when I took over, yeah, shit happens, as you say.
And I,
But what I usually when I don't feel like I know everything. First thing
mm,
I know is I don't know much. So I make sure that I had a team with me who could help me with this, because I know it was a huge deal. So we built up this team of people from the board, but also people in the Quartier Petit Champlain who had more background than we do. And I called back the last president that was there before. She'd been there for for 13 years. I said, "Guess what? We need you again." So after a month of off of the Quartier, you're coming back with me. So I called her back, and I called some people as well in finance. And anyway, I surrounded myself with people who had more background than I did, because I didn't feel like I was enough myself. So we built up this plan, and it actually it saved most of us. Actually, we because the first goal was to keep the people alive. We try to keep the companies alive, because, and as we said, even if we put the co-op itself in danger, not in danger, but if we weaken the co-op a little bit, it's not as bad as losing some of our companies,
right.
because they're the one feeding the co-op with the money. So we pay the rent, so that's what brings the money in. So if there's no more people to pay the rent, there's no more co-op. So we go together. So we decided to go to the bank and ask them for a major loan, major, to be able to support the people, not the in French it's commerçant, but the business owners, our people, our members. And so what we did is that we didn't charge any commercial fees, any commercial rent for until before March 2020. We barely paid anything for our commercial um, loan, not loan, but
The rent.
for a store. It
Yeah.
doesn't cost us anything. I mean, we did charge a little bit during the summertime, because there was more people, more income for the business people. But I mean, we barely paid anything, so that's a huge deal for most of the people there.
Mhm.
And as a result, there's almost none who closed actually during the pandemic. So
Great.
it's a huge deal, because we are in a tourist area, and for about a year and a half, it was just dead.
Amazing. And so, Marie, for you, for yourself, for Le Blanc Mouton, you said that COVID was like, it's been for me a little bit of a gift of time to do the things that you always wanted to do, but were never able. So how has your business changed for you over the last 2 years?
It has grown. It has has grown. Yeah, as you said. Well, the web it's just something that It's always been on my mind. I had a web page or web store before, but it wasn't up to date. It wasn't sufficient. It wasn't clean. It wasn't pushed in any marketing ways. So it wasn't bringing me much. I know there was potential, but time is a certain thing that we don't get to have usually, especially with two kids and a business that's it was going well. I mean, it was very busy. So when it just fell from one day to the other, you have time on your hands. So what do you do with this time? So I got to work. I YouTube was my best friend for about a year. Like
Great.
I learned everything on YouTube. It's amazing. Honestly, it's like your personal school. Any subject you want, you can learn it there. So was mostly self taught with some videos, but I also had some help as well from marketing companies or company. All during this process, any in I don't know in Ontario, but in Quebec we had a lot of help from government.
Yeah.
You could apply for anything actually, and if you did apply, like I got I think $10,000 on marketing help. So I used it. I applied and then I got it, and then I used it all for yes, not really to have them do the work, but having them teaching me how to do it.
Right.
So that way I'm sufficient right now. I'm auto-sufficient right now, so I can do it by myself. Because I still don't have a lot of money. The store is not back on its wheels yet. So, but the web is just really, really good, but it's not as good as, it's sort of it's keeping me breathing.
Yes.
But when both businesses go as they should, it's gonna be something that's gonna stay with me for even after the pandemic. So that's why I'm saying that pandemic at the end of the road will be something very positive for my company, because it led me there. It gave me the push or the time to do whatever I didn't have time to do before.
That's great. So did you build your website on your own by watching YouTube videos? Yeah.
I did everything by myself.
Yeah, it's a beautiful site.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I love it. And I guess the biggest pain in the butt, I'll say, I feel that way for mine, is just keeping up with photography, right? Like,
yes. Well, I've decided for that site because of that. Like it's hard. The only collections that are online are the ones that are pretty stable. Like they're not changing too much. So I only have like two sets of 2 seasons to really feed the website with, and then along in between those, I have smaller designers or smaller things that I can launch along the road all the time. But my two major designs are mine and my own line, and another one too that Rien ne se perd tout se crée, which is very good as well. Online it does better than actually my own. It reaches a little bit younger people and they buy more online than the Blanc Mouton. But that's funny because a lot of my clients from the Blanc Mouton, they see it online and they come to the store.
Of course, yeah. Oh, great. That's fantastic. So Marie, like coming out of the pandemic, well, I mean, I keep saying coming out of, but I feel like, are we out? I don't know what's going on.
No, I don't think so.
But how are you feeling as a woman entrepreneur? I mean, you've been through the trenches, like you were saying, you had more time to really focus on things you hadn't had time to before. But when I look at you, when I'm listening to everything, I'm seeing a woman who did a renovation, a woman who stepped up as president of a co-op, a woman who then not only had her own business to worry about, but had to advocate for other people's businesses. Like there was a lot of extra stuff that you didn't have before, but you've really, I mean, you're incredible. You've done things that people would take a whole lifetime to do. So how are you feeling about yourself right now?
It has been tiring, I would say. I'm much better now. I've had I have some vacation, so that helps a lot.
Yeah.
But it was tiring. I mean, honestly, it wasn't an easy road. I had to cut out on some things that I really enjoyed that I didn't have time anymore, like fee actives. I was involved in physical activities and helping kids to stay active and stuff like that, because I'm also, we haven't talked about it, but this is also a big part of my life, the being active. So I kept myself active, but I had to step aside from those implications that I had. So it's something, I have one more year at the board, and then I want to quit, because it's got to be the end of this adventure for me, and then I want to go back to other topics other subject of my life that I'd like to invest my time in. But it has been, and it is for everybody. I guess pandemic it touched us in a way that it's very personal to each, as how it touched you and what it did to you. But it is positive for my business. It has been positive for a few things, even with the kids. But it's been tiring. It's been a lot of work. It's yeah. We're almost there, though. I think we're almost to the end where we're gonna have to live with it, and people are learning to live with it now.
Yeah, it sort of feels like you're running, you're like, okay, now I know exactly what I'm doing, and then something comes on the news and you go, oh God, I can't do
it. No, there's no planning involved in the last 2 years. There was nothing you could plan ahead. It was always, you had to always be ready to just switch side or turn right, and where you were going left, or but I do well in this situation, so it's okay.
That's great. I remember, like, at the very beginning, I was the online business was growing, and I thought, I'm gonna go and do deliveries, like, in person to local people.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then I'm thinking, what if a police officer sees me? Like, they're gonna pull me over that I'm spreading COVID through envelopes. Like, I had all this, like, because you didn't know, they were talking about lockdown, but nobody knew what that meant. Like, what is lockdown? Is that martial law? Like, anyways, yeah.
I know somebody who did that, though. I did some of it too, like a home delivery, but at the end, I'm so bad at indication. I got lost everywhere. Like, even in Quebec City, I'd spend more time trying to find the freaking house than actually. I was like, okay, this is not worth it. Let's just get it through the mail. It's gonna save me and her a lot of time. But I have one of my friend who did that. He's an owner business as well here too, and he did a lot of like, he bought a huge truck, and he was selling running shoes. He's into the outdoor store, sort of, and he did well with the delivery. It's especially with shoes, you have to try on a lot, so he would bring a lot of the sizing, and he would play with it. People could actually try it from the truck.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy to get lost in Quebec City. I've had my own experience with that, so you're forgetting.
So bad.
It's pretty easy. Everything's like,
anyway, no, I tried that a few times and no.
Yeah. So, Marie, we have Sharon LeMay is watching, and she would love us to post a link of your website. So we will do that for sure. So she can go on and shop. Yeah, it's amazing. Now let's talk about physical fitness.
Yes.
You're so inspiring. You trail running.
Yeah, I've always been active. That's for sure. But it really turned into a life, like a way of life, when I was when the kids were young, I guess. Well, me and Eric has always been outdoor people, so going out in the woods and camping and stuff, we've always done that. But it wasn't really training; it was just enjoying nature. And moving too, but it wasn't training. I'm more into training since about 12, 15 years, and it has become part of my life that I can't live without now. But I don't see it really as training as running in the woods, but it is training because it is hard. It's not an easy thing to do, but it just keeps me balanced, and it's also a time for myself, which I don't get. I never get time for myself, except when I go running. So it's the 1 hour a day or the 30 minutes a day that I can just leave my phone at home and just put on my shoes. I don't have any watch. Like I don't look at my watch. I just go off in the road in the woods, and I just go run. So it keeps me in shape, but it's also good for my head as well.
Yeah. So when you're talking about running in the woods, is there a trail that you're on, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a trail.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I live in the woods. I live, I live in the mountains. And if you go in the mountains, there are trails everywhere. Like even in the wintertime or summertime, it's just there. You just another thing, I get lost in the woods. But now I'm really, really bad at directions. So I always use the same trails. Otherwise, I really get lost. But when I do some racing, I really have to follow the flags. Otherwise, I bring my phone when I race, because then I go in trails that I don't know. So,
oh, that's hilarious. Because when I'm listening to you saying I go in the woods and I leave my phone behind, I'm like, oh
yeah.
my God, what if something happens?
Yeah, it did happen. Yeah, but I prefer saying I unplug my phone. My phone is related to my work, and I don't even want to have it. Like I love my work, but I need some time just to turn off the phone. And it would be a smart idea to carry it with me. But there's where I go in when I go in the trails, there's always a lot of people though, so it's okay.
Okay,
I go
good.
during the day, and it's if I feel like if when it's unsecure, or if I go in further like trails that are not that much crowded, or then I bring my phone.
Yeah. Do you listen to music when you're running, or no? You just nature.
Yes.
So what's going on in your head? I want to know. Do you just check right out? Do you go into a zone, or what
Yeah,
happens?
I guess just you're turning into a zone, but you trail running is really, really hard in terms of physical. So you really have to focus on just your basic needs to breathe, to slow down, to accelerate if you can. Just managing my run is actually what keeps my head turning all the time. If you go run, and if you run on the roads, it's really easy to get carried on with whatever thoughts you might have, because it's the same pattern of running out every time. So it's you get lost in another bubble. Like you can go in your work bubble or something. So people use music or stuff because they go, the mind isn't as busy as in trail is really technical. There's rocks, um there's woods, pieces of woods, and so, it's really technical. It's not a trail that you can just walk and run. It's really technical. It's very narrow. It's so you have to really be careful and not falling or twist your ankle, or yeah.
Yeah.
And you gotta adjust yourself all the time, because it's never flat. It's always up or down. So yeah, your mind is really, really busy just trying to stay on your feet and stay alive, basically. Just
Right.
breathing.
No kidding. Sharon, who commented before about your website, is also suggesting you put a tracker on your running shoes. Wondering about you too.
Yeah. Well, there's a tracker on my watch, but I don't use it.
Gonna turn that on. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's fascinating.
But it's
Oh,
anyway. It's for me. It's the running that just keeps me balanced. But I think really everybody should find something that really is for themselves. I don't think especially women, like we don't take time for ourselves. We don't allow us to take time for ourselves. We don't put it high enough in the priorities so that you get the time to do it.
yeah.
I think we're always lowering down ourselves in our lives, and I think that's a problem. I think it's I wrote it to you, but make sure that as a human, as a person, you stay happy, and then you'll carry happiness all around you. If you're not happy to start with, then you can't. Anyway, I'm a better person because I run, so that I know. So I keep myself very focused on keep on running and keeping the time for myself too.
I
But
love.
today I won't go run though.
You're not going to run in a storm?
No, running is supposed to be fun. When it's not fun, I don't run.
You have a limit. Oh,
Yeah.
great. It's so true what you say, that we really are responsible for our own happiness. And, one thing I wanted to share with you, like in the pandemic, it's so crazy. When it first started, it kind of felt like an extension of Christmas holidays almost, like, because we thought, well, it's going to last a couple of months. And I remember the first thing I did was I went to the liquor store. I got myself like some vodka. I got 2 bottles of wine. I reloaded as though it was Christmas.
Yeah.
And then as time went on and I was enjoying a glass of whatever, I realized I'm not enjoying this now. Like, this is getting depressing. I'm not happy. I'm not with other people. Alcohol to me has always been like kind of a social thing.
Yeah.
My husband doesn't drink. So now I'm like, judging myself, like, okay, so now I'm like the self-employed woman with no contact with the outside world who has a drink starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, I don't want to. So one of the things for me was somebody had said, and I've always believed this is really exploring what it was that turned you on as a kid, like the things that you love to do. And a friend of mine challenged me to every month do a different art project, like something you've never done before. And so now that's been my thing, where I feel the same as you, like just going into this zone of happiness, and nothing else comes into my mind when I'm doing that. And the alcohol is kind of like I'm not like,
You don't look forward to that anymore that much. Yeah.
No, I'd rather go to the dollar store and get some sparkly stuff and paper, whatever, and just yeah, it's interesting. But the exercise, I love this. I never thought about that with the trail running, that, yeah, you don't need music. You don't need a distraction to take your mind off of things. The actual challenge of the terrain that you're running on is.
It's enough to keep you busy. It really, really is. Because if you don't focus, then you will fall. It happened before. Because I also go with friends. It's also a social thing as well. I really enjoy like running alone, but I really enjoy running with my friends as well. So we get to talking. So we slow down quite a bit when we're talking. And we walk some of the hills, and you're just enjoying your time. So even when I don't go alone, I go with my friends. So again, it's a time for myself with my friends. So it's not something that you would take, like, anyway, in my life. I don't really take the time to go out with a drink with my friends. I have 2 kids and they need me. I'm a taxi mom these days. Volleyball, soccer, football, name it all, they're into it. So, and they're not driving yet, so guess who's driving? Mom and dad. So I don't really have a lot of time for myself, but when I do take the time, and it's also, I'm very fortunate to be like self-employed as well, because I do have the time to go during the day. It's something that a lot of people don't have time to.
Do you find that, do you do it at the same time every day, or do you just say, okay, today is this kind of a day, and at this time I can run?
I go along with the kind of days I have, because they're not always the same. Sometimes I have to do some stuff in the morning, and then I always prefer to do everything I really need to before I go running, because then I feel like stressed. I don't want to be rushing back. So I do whatever that's really important to have it done, and then I go run, and then I go on the rest of my day with the not too urgent kind of stuff.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's also a social thing though. And I have some friends too that are self-employed too. So we kind of try to have like okay, at 4 o'clock, are you available? Or at 3 o'clock? No, today it's at 2. Okay, 2 is good. So let's go.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Marie, you are so inspiring.
Well, thank you. I don't feel like it, but I don't feel really inspiring. But thank you. I will take it.
Yeah, you are. You definitely are. I love what you're doing with your business. And I guess the Ontario people, they can come visit you at any time, but they can also see you at the One of a Kind show, right? You're going
Yes,
to be there at the Christmas show?
yes, I'm hoping to be there. Yes, it'll depend on planning with these days.
Yeah.
Not so much planning, but
Yeah.
I've registered. So if everything goes well, I was actually very happy to register for the One of a Kind. I'm really looking forward to go back in Toronto. It's like my second home there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my friends and Dev and anyway, yeah, I'm really looking forward to go.
Good. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, and they can come to see me at the store too in Quebec City, of course.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can always go online as well. We didn't talk about it yet, but we have our collection that's exclusive to the store, so it's quite nice.
Okay, good. So you have to come to the store to see that.
Well, it's online. It's online as well.
Okay.
And I do the shipping and always write like a small note to everybody. So yeah, it's a nice experience online as well.
Oh, good. That's great. Okay, well, I will definitely be putting up your website and everything so people can, join and follow along and all that stuff. And you're on Facebook as well, the Blanc Mouton Facebook. And are you on Instagram also?
I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. The only thing is that most of my people are in French, so the publications is mostly in French. The website has got an English version of it, but the Facebook I don't translate everything because it I do it all, so I have to keep things simple to a certain point. But it's in my I want to do something about it, especially the Facebook. I don't know how to do it actually.
I know what you can do for your. How you can pin posts to the top of the page for Facebook. Just pin a post with a link to Google Translate, and then anybody who reads anything they know, they have to go to Google Translate.
Yeah, well, that's a long thing to do. Okay, I'll work with my marketing people. Let's try to find some other idea.
Yeah. Maybe not the best one. And if you don't know what to say, go to Google Translate. Oh, man.
No, but at least you can see pictures and stuff on my Facebook page. It's okay, but the text is always in French. I apologize for that.
We all want to learn French. There's more people like me who had bad experiences with French in high school. This will give us an opportunity to.
It is. Maybe someday I will open like a different English Blanc Mouton. It's something I have to work on because there's a market there and I can't reach them because I'm in French, so it's not good.
Yeah, well, that's okay. For now, we feel like we're in Quebec City when we go on your website. So.
Oh yes, well, Quebec. The website is bilingual. It's just a Facebook, but yes, you get a feel of the French vibe.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, my friend. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to you now. I'll put you in the virtual green room, as I call it, and I'll come back to you in a second. But thank you for all your time.
It was a pleasure, Monica. Anytime.
Oh, awesome. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Oh my gosh, what an inspiring story. And I definitely hope you check out Le Blanc Mouton, and whether you're going there in person or shopping online. And I will include the web address for you to do that underneath this video. And if you happen to be watching on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to our channel, because every week we interview different, inspiring, wonderful women who you're going to want to get to know. Do not forget to shop on our sponsor's website, brendabadome.com. Use the coupon code GET2KNOWHER for 22% off of your order. And as always, go to glamjewels.com and get yourself some matching accessories. Keep on showing the world your sparkle. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next week. Bye.